Welcome to the Sealed Archive. We are examining a text that has remained indecipherable for 6 centuries, the Voynich Manuscript. By the end of this video, we will look at a theory regarding its author that challenges the very timeline of its discovery. As we begin, I want to hear your initial instinct in the comments. Are these pages a sophisticated medieval hoax, or the final remnants of a lost language? The physical manuscript resides within the climate-controlled vaults of Yale University's Beinecke Rab Book and Manuscript Library. It is a 240-page codex, small enough to hold in one hand, yet its contents have resisted every attempt at translation since it surfaced in the 17th century. Carbon dating performed at the University of Arizona places the parchment between 1404 and 1438. The pages are filled with unknown astrological wheels and botanical drawings of plants that exist nowhere in the fossil record, alongside biological depictions of figures bathing in strange, interconnected pools. The book's reputation for defying logic is well documented. In a 1665 letter, a Bohemian doctor named Johannes Marcus Marci sent the manuscript to a scholar in Rome, noting that the text had already exhausted the brilliant researchers of his own era. For 600 years, the manuscript has functioned as a cognitive dead end, a document that remains as consistent in its structure as it is silent in its meaning. Because the script is so fluid and organized, it seems like a problem that modern artificial intelligence should have solved by now. But the history of the manuscript is a graveyard of expert attempts. William Friedman, the man who led the team that broke the Japanese purple coat during World War II, dedicated years of his life to these pages. He and his team of elite cryptographers analyzed the glyphs for decades and concluded they were no closer to a solution than the day they started. Modern machine learning and neural networks have fared no better. While AI can identify patterns in the text, it has been unable to map them to any known linguistic family. The failure of both human intuition and computational power suggests we need to rethink our assumptions about how the text was constructed in the first place. Most researchers categorize the manuscript in one of 3 ways: as a hoax, a natural language written in an unknown script, or a ciphertext. This chart tracks the frequency of individual words within the manuscript. It follows Zipf's law, a mathematical pattern found in every spoken human language. This high level of organization makes the meaningless hoax theory difficult to maintain, as it would require a medieval author to manually simulate complex linguistic statistics that wouldn't be discovered for centuries. Yet, when we look closer at the internal structure, the language theory falters. The text lacks common grammatical markers like prefixes or suffixes that appear in the middle of words, a feature that is standard in almost all known languages. Cryptographers previously doubted the cipher theory because no 15th century encryption method was known to produce this specific statistical profile. The manuscript occupies a space between language and nonsense that current models cannot reconcile. It possesses the mathematical signature of speech, but lacks the mechanics of grammar. In late 2025, researcher Michael Greshko published a study in the journal Cryptologia that offered a potential bridge for this gap, providing a new way to look at the cipher hypothesis. Greshko developed the Naibe cipher. It begins by using a die roll to break a standard Latin or Italian word into fragmented pieces of varying lengths. A playing card is then drawn to select one of several substitution tables. These tables map the word fragments into the bizarre glyphs seen in the manuscript. Because each fragment can be represented by multiple different glyph strings, the resulting text mimics the repetitive, low-entropy patterns of the original document. This method is historically grounded. The tools required, dice and playing cards, were both widely available in 15th century Europe. In fact, the cipher is named after Naibe, a 14th century Italian term for playing cards. Technically, this is a verbose homophonic substitution cipher. It hides one true letter inside a larger group of characters, which explains why the words in the manuscript look like speech but don't follow standard grammatical rules. If you want to explore the history of encryption or the details of medieval manuscripts, Audible has an extensive collection of historical deep dives. Greshko's study does not claim to have decoded the book. However, it clearly demonstrates that it is possible for the manuscript to be a ciphertext created with 15th century technology. If you are enjoying this investigation into history's hidden codes, please hit the like button. The Naibe cipher suggests the text could be an encryption of a known language like Latin. But what if the manuscript isn't a code? This brings us to the lost world hypothesis. This theory suggests the manuscript is not a secret, but a straightforward diary of medicine, botany, and astronomy. In this scenario, the plants we cannot identify and the stars we do not recognize were real to the author. The book could be the lone surviving artifact of an isolated civilization that developed its own unique understanding of biology and language before disappearing. Researchers often describe the manuscript as a psychological mirror. Because the text is unreadable, it reflects the specific intellectual biases of whoever studies it, leading alchemists to see potions and linguists to see lost dialects. Subscribe to stay updated, as tomorrow we shift our focus to the buried history of Göbekli Tepe and its T-shaped pillars. Whether it is a masterpiece of early cryptography or the final testament of an extinct culture, the Voynich Manuscript remains one of history's most resilient mysteries.